Somewhere on the unlimited Autobahn, a smoke silver E320 estate is sitting on 240 kilometers per hour, fully loaded with 5 people, roof box, a Labrador that thinks he's luggage. And the driver's still got one hand off the wheel, because the car tracks straighter than most people's marriages. In that car, it's just another Thursday. The Speedo will hit 300,000 kilometers before the week's out, and nobody in Stuttgart will even blink. But here's the bit that still makes my arms go goosebumps. Fast forward 31 years, that exact same car is still doing airport runs in Athens, still on its original engine, original turbo on the diesel ones. And it'll probably outlive all of us. Stay to the end, because I've got one story from a Greek taxi driver that made me pull over and stare at the dashboard like it was family. I'm not gonna bore you with a Wikipedia page. You already know the W124 is the E-Class from 1985 to 1996, built like the engineers were expecting nuclear winter. But let me take you back to when I first properly understood what overengineered really means. It was 2011. I'd just blown the head gasket on my reliable BMW E46. You know, the one everyone said was the last good 3 Series. I was skint, proper skint, so I bought the ugliest W124 on the planet, a 1992 to 50D non-turbo, in nautical blue that had faded to the color of a depressed dolphin. 680,000 kilometers on the clock, seats like your nan's sofa, and a dashboard that crackled when the sun hit it. Paid £800 for it. Drove it home doing 58 miles per hour, because 5th gear synchro was gone and I didn't fancy the invoice. First proper trip was London to Edinburgh, and back in one hit. Left at 10 p.m., got there for breakfast, turned round and came home. That's 860 miles, door to door. The 250D makes 90 horsepower on a good day with a tailwind, but it just kept going. At 3 a.m., somewhere near Doncaster, I looked down and realized I was doing a rocksteady 82 miles per hour. Fuel gauge had barely moved, and the biggest drama was the cassette player eating my metallic tape. The car didn't care, it was old. It didn't care, it was slow. It cared that I got there. I fell asleep in a service station car park for 2 hours. Woke up, and it fired first turn like I'd insulted it by doubting. That's the magic. These things don't ask for worship, they just refuse to die. Let's talk engines properly, because this is where Mercedes lost the plot and we all lost the best daily drivers ever made. The diesels first, because if God drove a taxi, he'd pick an OM601, 602, or 603, pre-chamber clatterboxes that sound like a box of spanners in a tumble dryer. But mate, a million miles is entry level. I know a 300D in Morocco that's on 1.9 million kilometers. Still original turbo, still pre-chamber heads. Still does 42 mpg while carrying 8 people and a goat. The later OM605 and OM606 turbo diesels. Stupid quick for what they are. 150 horsepower feels like 250 when it's hooked to that bulletproof 4-speed auto and rear-wheel drive. Petrol side, the M102 and M103 are agricultural but honest. The M104 24-valve straight 6. That's the sweet spot. 220 horsepower in the E320, twin-cam growl that still sounds expensive today. I had one that drank a bit of oil, sure, but it owed me nothing. Revved to the moon, never overheated, even when I forgot the coolant was more rust than water. And the gearboxes, mate. The 4-speed autos are tanks. The 5-speed manuals feel like stirring a rifle bolt. I've got a 200 TE with the dogleg Getrag box. First is down and left. Rest is normal H pattern, and every shift feels like you're cocking a shotgun. Pure theater. Suspension. They went properly mad. Multi-link rear end that BMW copied badly years later. Optional self-leveling on the estates that still works on cars older than the people servicing them. You can load an extra 500 kilograms in the boot, and it doesn't even nod. I once moved house with a T-model sofa, fridge, washing machine, all in one trip. Looked like a lowrider, drove like it was empty. Safety though, this is where I get emotional. These were the first cars where Mercedes said stuff the cost. We're keeping the humans alive. Offset crash protection before it was mandatory. Crumple zones that actually crumple and then stop. Fuel tank under the rear seat with a steel cage. I watched footage of a 124 hitting a concrete wall at 40 miles per hour offset. The driver's door opened afterwards. Try that in half. The new stuff made of glue and optimism. I want to tell you about Athens taxi driver. 1992, the white with the orange taxi sign on the roof. That's now worth more than the car. 2.4 million kilometers when I met him in 2022. Original engine, second clutch, third set of doors because passengers kept slamming them like they were on a bus. He showed me the logbook, every single oil change, written in biro, every 12,000 kilometers like clockwork. The body's rusty, the seats are held together with hope and gaffer tape, but the engine still idles like new. We're bombing through Athens traffic. Horns everywhere, scooters undertaking, tourists stepping into the road like deer. Giannis is 68, chain smoking, one hand on the wheel. telling me about the time he did Piraeus to Thessaloniki non-stop in 1989 to 500 kilometers. 4 hours, 50 minutes, average 104 kilometers per hour in a 74 horsepower diesel. Then he looks at me, dead serious, and says, "This car looked after my children when they were babies in the back. It looked after me when drunks attacked me for change. It never once let me down." New Mercedes. Plastic rubbish. This one has soul. I nearly cried in the back of that sweaty taxi. Still makes me choke up thinking about it. Here's the dirty secret nobody wants to admit in 2025. You can still buy a really good W124 for 6 to 10 grand. A mint low-mile E500, yeah, that's 50 grand now because the internet ruined it, but a solid 300E, E280, 320TE, whatever, that's normal money for something that will genuinely last another 30 years if you treat it right. Rust is the devil, always has been. Check the wings, the jack points, the spring perches, the boot floor where the battery leaks acid and eats metal like Pac-Man. Find a straight one from a dry climate and you've got the last car you'll ever need. I still daily my 95 E320 coupe, black on black, 280,000 miles, lowered a touch on Bilstein's windows tinted just enough to be naughty. Every morning it starts with that lazy V6 burble, and I grin like an idiot. My neighbor's got a new GLE hybrid thing that costs more than a house deposit. It beeps at him if he looks at it funny. Mine just works. Every single day. So here's the big question I want you to chew on tonight. When did we decide that disposable was better than indestructible? When did software update replace built properly in the first place? And why does getting into a 35-year-old car still feel like coming home, when a brand new one feels like renting an iPad on wheels? Drop your W124 stories below. The good, the bad, the million-mile ones, the ones you regret selling, the ones you found in a barn and cried over. I read every single comment, and if you've got photos, post them, because this community is what keeps these old warriors alive. Thanks for riding shotgun with me on this one. If it made you miss yours, or start hunting for one. Job done. Look after each other out there. Keep the shiny side up, and I'll see you in the next late night ramble. Now, go hug your Mercedes. Or go buy one. Either way, you're welcome.